Hello, fellow enamelist. Scott Ellis with e-namels.com. And today I'm excited to share with you my samples of a new line of enamel from Milton Bridge. This is their Shimmer Enamels. There are 45 colors in this line, and today I would like to present 20 of these to you in the first video, and then 21 through 45 in the second video. The uniqueness about these enamels is they have a sparkle to them. I have fired these two different methods. One a low temperature fire at 1400 degrees for a time frame of 1 to 1.5 minutes, depending on when my kiln came up to temperature after the piece was inserted. The second piece you will see has been fired at 1500 degrees for a time frame again of 1 to 1.5 minutes. And the difference between the two firings is the low fire gives you more of a textured surface on the black background it's fired on, whereas the higher temperature fired is more fused into the piece. And there are some color variations in the two, and we will explore those as well. How I set these up was I just took a 18 gauge copper triangle here. I fired as the front coat, I fired Milton Bridge's E5 black and just some counter enamel on the back. And then I used a stencil to make a circle of the low fire piece at 1400 degrees Fahrenheit. And I used a triangle for the 1500 degrees Fahrenheit firing. I sifted these on with a 40 mesh sifter here. I used a small sifter to sift these on. And the powder looks, it does have a sparkle to it. As you can see in the powder, it's very sparkly. And it does come out that way when you fire it as well. So I'd like to start with, this is number 14, but I'd like to start back with number 1 here. And I'll walk you through all these pieces. So sample number 1 is SE Transparent Solar Gold. As you can see the texture of this and the sparkle it gives off when light hits it at different angles. This is as I said, this is the 1400 degree piece, and this here is the piece fired at 1500 for, again, a minute to a minute and a half. You can see this one is definitely more fused into or blended into the top of the piece. And again, this is SE1 Transparent Solar Gold. Our second piece in the line here is Transparent Shimmer Gold. It's a little bit lighter than the solar gold we just looked at. But again, it gives off nice texture there and a very nice sparkle as well. And the second piece, the higher fired piece at 1500 degrees Fahrenheit, you can see this one fused in, has a nice smooth transition there on top of the black, and it fused very nicely into the piece itself. SE2 Transparent Shimmer Gold. Third enamel in this line is SE number 3 Transparent Bronze. And we get a nice deep bronze color on this sample piece itself. Again, nice texture on the 1400 degree low fire. And a more fused texture on the 1500 degree piece. SE3 Transparent Bronze Next one we have is one of my favorites. It's the SE number 4 Transparent Icy White Shimmer. And this one here, you can just see it has a lot of shimmer effect to it. And it's got a very nice texture on the top surface at the low fire temperature. And then when we fired the higher fire piece, again, a nice sparkly surface, but it got a little darker as it fused into the black background. So something like this, I think you could probably fire it a little longer than a minute to minute and a half, and even darken it even more. SE number 5 Transparent Metallic Gold. So this has what I like to call kind of a reptile effect. I love that, that green, yellow, and gold kind of mixed together. Again, it has a very nice texture to the surface. And similar to the 04, when we fired it here at a higher temperature, that color really started to darken up, and it really kind of blends nicely into the background of that black piece behind it. Next up here we have SE6 Transparent Black Solar Gold. And this is a more, a darker gold. It's not that bright gold like we saw on number 1, but it contrasts very well that black background. And similar to the last two we saw, this one does a really nice job of kind of on the higher fire, darkening up and really fusing into that background. But it still has that nice shimmer sparkle effect when light hits it at different angles. Next one we have here is SE number 7 Transparent Black Shimmer Gold. And some of these, as light hits them, you just see different colors in the piece itself. Now I can look at this as kind of a pewter or a silver color as light hits it at different angles. And the higher fire piece at 1500 degrees Fahrenheit, again, we get, a nice fused or blended effect on top of the black, and it darkens the color up as well. Just a really nice effect with that one. Next we have SE08, which is our transparent black bronze. And similar to the last one we looked at, this one has, instead of that silver color, it does have definitely a bronze, effect and color within it. The higher fire piece, oops, add that one. This one's the high fire piece has a really nice bronze gold effect to it, very shimmery under light, and also it blends in very well into that black background. That is really nice. SE number 9 Transparent Icy White Shimmer. Transparent Black Icy White Shimmer. And again, another one I really like because it's almost like a dark silver on that black background. It has a lot of sparkle to it and a nice texture. The second piece, the High Fire, it darkened up. It got a little darker, under additional heat. SE09. The next piece is very interesting. That I want to share with you here. This is SE. Here's the Higher Fire piece. SE transparent black metallic gold. And this piece, when you on the low fire side, has a nice texture and a really nice shimmer effect to it. It's like I call these like a reptile green. It's just a very nice effect. Now, however, when I fired it on the hotter side, sorry, I've dropped this piece a couple times. It's got some cracks in it. The color really just almost went black. It is very hard to see. So for my sample piece on the website and for this video, I decided to fire it on a white background to see, if I could lighten up the color to where it could be, more visually pleasing. And to my astonishment, when I fired the color on a white background, it turned completely blue. I got a completely different color effect. And I'd fired these at different times. And I thought, well, I must be crazy. I must have used the wrong enamel. There's no way these could be the same enamel. So I went back and did another low fire at the very same time that I had done the higher fired piece. And to my amazement, they both came out, the same color. So this is very interesting, when fired on a white background, I got a completely different color. So I haven't had time to do it yet, but I'm going to go back and fire some more of these on a white background to see if I, get this color difference or variation. Next up, we have SE11 transparent blue solar gold. And again, this is one where, has a really nice, even the low fire on this piece really kind of fused into the background. I really don't have that texture there. So maybe if I'd fire this one a little shorter time frame, I could work with that to see if I could get that texture to come out. But it fused very nicely at 1400. And as the name says, the transparent blue solar gold, at the higher firing temperature, I started to get some blue effect out of that. So as you can see, we've kind of lost some of that gold, and there's a blue tint coming through that piece. So that's a real interesting, difference between the two firing temperatures with that piece. And this is one, I just sit down and did one experiment with these. It's going to be real interesting to see what other people come up with as they try different backgrounds and firing temperatures. This is SE12 transparent blue shimmer gold. And with this one, we get a nice texture on that low fire. And we do get much more of a blue, bolder color with this enamel here. And the higher fire piece is very similar to the effect we saw with number 11. So we get both a gold coming through, but there's also a blue blended in there with base. Basically you can see the two and how the light hits it. You can see, both characteristics of gold and blue in that color. Number 13 here, we have transparent blue bronze. And with this one, I didn't get much of a blue color. Now, needless to say, if we fired it on white, it may look totally different. But I did get a very nice texture, um, and a nice bronze color as well. Kind of similar to what we saw with, I think, number 8. But this is a little lighter bronze than SE number 8. But I tell you, the higher fire piece here, it really held its color. It didn't get darker, and the the blending into the black, or the fusing to the black on the top, is with this one creates a really nice effect on a black background. SE14 was the color I started the video off with. That was the blue, similar to the 12. The 12 had maybe a little more purplish of a tint to it than the 14. The 14 is transparent blue, icy white shimmer, and it definitely does have a nice shimmer and a nice texture to it. All the ones called icy white do give me a very good, texture at the 1400 degree Fahrenheit low fire temperature. And on the second firing here, the 1500 degree firing, again, we have that kind of bronze blue effect as it's fused more into the piece itself. So number 15 here, transparent blue metallic gold. So with this piece, we're getting, a much, again, like I like to call it, a reptile green effect, or a darkening green. It has a very nice texture to it as well. And the high fire piece, blended, it's much darker, but it did blend nicely into the black background. Number 16 here is transparent green solar gold. And we get a nice greenish gold effect there with the low fire. A nice texture to that one as well. And similar to the last one, on the higher side, we get a very dark green. It almost blends in completely into the black. Number 17, transparent green shimmer gold. Again, kind of that bronze color. You do see some green, definitely, when the light hits it a different way. And what we would expect with these, the higher fire, again, it darkens up a little bit. You can see the green and the bronze at different light angles, and it does fuse nicely into the piece. A few more here before we wrap up this video. Here we have SE18, just transparent gold bronze. All the green, I would say, is definitely gone out of this piece than we've seen in some of the other ones. We have a nice, bold bronze color, kind of a medium bronze. It's not a light bronze like we saw, back with some of the other pieces. It's not a brown bronze like we saw with 3. It's kind of a cross, kind of a little bit of a gold effect there, definitely, but a nice bronze color. And the higher fire piece, very nicely. It held its color, but it's nicely fused into the background. So number 19, which is transparent green, icy white shimmer. It's a very dark one. So even with the video and the light, it's still very hard to see. So this one may, could be better suited fired on a lighter background. But again, very similar color with both the low fire and the higher fire on that piece. And the last one before we wrap up the video is SE20, transparent green metallic gold. We get a nice gold effect there with just a hint of green in the low fire. Nice sparkle as well. Now on the high fire side, again, this is one that got very dark. So it's very hard, almost impossible, but you can see some of the color in there. It doesn't want to stay on my tweezers. So with this one, I also decided to fire it on a white background. And we didn't get a color change, or we did get a green, as it says it's metallic gold green, but we got a very bold green on a white background, and it fused very, very nicely itself into the piece. So again, a different results. Like I say, I fired a couple of these on a white background, and really got a completely different color results than firing these directly on the black background. So that is the reveal of the first 20 pieces, or the first 20 colors. These are all available on e-namels.com. They are sold in the container here, which is a 50-gram pack. And you can find those, like I said, on e-namels.com. And I will be back with our second video to cover 21 through 45.